We got to mix the mission statement with the idea that everything is relevant. Our stand-up is relevant. Living in New York is relevant because it's all how to deal with day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Is that generally it? Yeah. And how the littlest things in the world ruin your whole outlook on life just because of one day when it's really not that big of a deal, but we've got to find a way to deal with our fucking anger, basically.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Power of How. Dig those violins for a second. Dig those violins. Music by Daniel Torado.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the music fades in, man.
I didn't hear that.
That's how good it is. I've got like dog ears.
Amazing.
You know, you can't hear it, but I can, and the listeners can too. Yeah, just doing it.
Yeah.
Just doing it. I have been so busy. For this is what it's like being a comedian or an artist or what have you. When you're out of work, you have to work harder than you've ever had to work before. And that's what I've been doing. I've been doing the light road this week. I did a set at the New York Comedy Club in the East Village, which wasn't obviously not on the road, but it was a Monday night, 10 o'clock show.
How did that go?
And it went well. All my shows went so well this week because when you are quote unquote unemployed, you have all day to get that set ready to go. So I usually kill.
Yeah. I've been thinking about this for 12 hours.
I've been on this. And but it's funny to just be schlepping. Am I using that word correctly? I'm not so. Jewish. Although I am stopped on the street in Williamsburg quite a bit. One dude just wouldn't take no for an answer.
Really?
He was just like, no, but your mother's Jewish, right?
Really?
And I'm like, no.
She just came up to you?
I just finally, I was like, I'm Catholic. I was raised Catholic. Like, it's a done deal.
Well, dude, technically you're Jewish. Jesus was Jewish. Right?
That's true.
So that's your, let's not segregate.
I'll take it, but he was looking for a yes that would then mean more questions or more prayer.
Yes.
Maybe a different language.
A non-Jesus lover.
Yes, right. So I had to answer no, otherwise there was going to be more to go with it.
Right.
I would have loved to say yes. Yes, I'd love to be an honorary member.
Right.
Your religion looks cooler than mine. But anyways, just it was like very film noir-ish. Just raining, shitty weather.
Wait. So let me get this straight.
Through New York City.
It's raining. You're walking, and this dude just randomly stops you to ask you.
This doesn't happen to you?
No.
This happens to me constantly.
Ask if he's Jewish
in Midtown. Yeah, they ask me too.
They just stop you?
Yeah. So this is what happens.
Yeah.
I guess I don't have a Jewish face.
I'm actually talking. You don't.
I don't.
You don't. It's like these are two different nights I'm talking about, but I'm talking about anytime there's a Jewish holiday, if you look like me, and I guess Brennan, you are stopped on the street and asked if you're Jewish because then there's a greeting or a wishing of a happy holiday that you're going to exchange.
Mm-hmm.
This is usually holiday behavior.
And there's a prayer thing as well. So I think it's Friday for the Shabbat.
So are you like not supposed to be out? And they see you out.
Well, a lot of times they'll try to get you to come to their temple to do the prayer. So Friday is a big one because that's the Shabbat. That's like it's like the holy day where everyone gets together. I know this from dating Jewish girls in the past. And so it happens constantly where I'll be walking, you got the wool hat.
They're just recruiting.
And they'll ask you, are you Jewish? And I asked a girl that
So you're talking about Hasids?
Jewish. Yeah.
Okay.
And I was
okay.
I was like, why did they do this? And
that's happened to me once, but it was a school, a bunch of kids came up.
Congratulations.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then if you answer yes, a lot of times they'll ask you to come to temple to pray with them.
I think there's always something flattering about being asked to join a group you're not a part of, or couldn't really be a part of, or would require a lot of homework to be a part of.
Right? Like, hey, you want to do it?
I always feel a little flattered by that because I feel so Catholic and so brought up so Catholic.
Yeah,
that's like I could have been.
I could have done it.
Yeah, there's not much work being Catholic.
No, there's a lot of internal guilt and shame.
Yeah.
And notice that's true because me and Daniel said it at the same time.
Right.
So that just proves it.
Right.
That it's true. And that's something I've been trying to shake in the past couple years.
Not feeling guilty?
Just not feeling guilty about, let's say, working for free.
Yeah.
To come back around to what I'm trying to talk about. This as as an American, more than a Catholic, I learned to feel guilty in Catholicism, but I learned to feel guilty about not working in America.
Yeah.
Because that's our real religion. It's work, get paid, live the American dream.
Right.
And it's so funny to go out. And so I also went all the way to Stamford, Connecticut to work for free. And not work for free. It's just work for deficit.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting paid money, but it costs more to go there and come back.
Right.
And catch the Uber when it doesn't work out the way you thought
Yeah.
it did. So I went up to Connecticut, had a great setup there, went all the way out to Bohemia, New York, and Long Island.
Governors.
One of the governors. Yeah. There's 3 governors.
Yeah.
And that, side note, that is the opposite of, say, a Brooklyn show.
Yeah.
Where everyone's a different gender. This was like 5-6 dudes, all straight dudes, white dudes.
Yeah.
And God damn it, it's so hard to find out you're a hack comic because we all talked about the same shit. Weed and Catholicism. And I'm like, oh man, I thought I was so original. I'm just like everybody else on this lineup. But it was all, I don't know. It was so much fun. It's almost more fun to work for free because you can't get fired.
Yeah.
You know, and it's one day you go up there, you do what you want to do, you try some things. It feels like a bonus. You eat a free cheeseburger. And you take the train, but
you can't not get fired, but you can not get booked again.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're still taking a risk. That's how messed up it is, because you still, even if it's like a regular comedy room in Brooklyn or wherever, you still want to kill because whatever comic is watching you has another room and that can generate more work.
Yeah.
So it's like you're constantly always kind of showcasing. When I play a new room, I want to kill. If I don't know the comics, I want to kill. I want to show them what I can do. Man, it's do you know Mike Young?
Yeah.
You know Mike Young? I did a show with him last week. He's got this really great show at the Ned Nomad. It's like a private club and a hotel/hotel. And it brings in a crowd that's really like typically too cool for school. You know exactly.
I know.
We know
like
the
Soho crowd type, but even a touch more pretension.
Make me laugh, clown.
And
before I go skiing, I want to laugh a little bit.
And this is not like a weekend pay. It's just like he's trying out a new room. It's a beautiful room. He did a fantastic job just with the first show last week. Michael Rappaport was opening the show.
Of course he
opened
was.
the show for 10 minutes. And I didn't know anyone. I didn't even know Mike.
Yeah.
I didn't know Mike. And I'm following Michael Rappaport. And I just want to do great.
Yeah.
So it's like we're constantly showcasing.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. I feel like I'm still new to New York. And I still feel like I have to prove myself all the time.
Right.
I'm also at a point in my life where it's time to push myself a little bit and try some new things.
Right.
And I'm doing a good job of it, and I'm enjoying it on that level. The difference is
it's a delicate balance, right?
It is, because you can't really have a good set unless you push yourself a little bit.
Right.
You've got to take at least a small risk. You can't just go up there and do everything that works. You stop thinking about what you're saying, and it becomes a bad performance.
Well, yeah, you don't have any energy behind it. The energy we have when we write a new bit and we try it, like you almost stumble into trying it because you're just like, well, let me do it. And then it works and you're like, fucking, let's go.
Yeah.
And then you have that energy, but after a while it kind of dissipates and then you're just kind of like, almost like you're reading a script. Like you're doing the mannerisms and stuff, but there's not as much energy behind it.
Right.
Because that's happened to me a lot where I'm just like, yeah, we'll just go through the motions.
Do you guys go through this? And I've heard a lot of comics go through this, but the first time you try a new joke, it does great. And then the second time, it bombs.
There's that.
There's a thing, right?
There's something to that.
Which is I never got.
I think it has a lot to do with in your head. You're trying. This is in my experience because this has happened to me before, where I've been talking on stage about a bit that I've like written out and everything, and then I'll say like a throwaway line, and then everyone will laugh, and then I'll riff on that throwaway line, and I go, "Oh, that's the bit. It's not the thing I wrote. It's this new thing."
Right.
And then my problem is, because I record every set. But the problem is sometimes I won't go back and listen to it. I'll just be like, oh, I remember what I did. And in my head, I'm trying to recreate it. So that whole like free flowing energy, that's all gone. Because in my head now, I'm overthinking it.
Yeah.
And then I'll say the same words, but it'll fall flat. So in my experience, I think it's a lot to do with the energy that you're bringing behind it. Because when it's brand new, it's very...
When you're riffing, you're actually in the moment. And you actually mean everything you say.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you can take the tape home, write it down, and try to recreate it. But you ain't getting it. Then that just becomes more of the structure. Or more of a choose your own adventure channel, depending on what the audience does. I can go this direction, I can go that direction. The problem is it just becomes in the pile with your writing, all that stuff that was riffed.
Right.
And then hardly any jokes really make it to the table, the adult table.
Yeah.
Where like even on a bad night where I'm not into it, they still work. That is a tough thing. Because I've done things where I've riffed for like 10 minutes, go back, listen to the tape, and then you try to recreate it and just nothing the next night.
Yeah.
Just jack shit the next night. You know, so that's what it is. It's about...
Yeah, it's like getting a haircut, you know? It's like you go to your barber, can I get the same haircut you gave me last time? And he's like, it's like asking a woman make love to me the same way. It's like impossible.
No, it's not.
You know, I know, right? It's like...
We can do it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's tricky. I think it has a lot to do with energy, as you said. Like, I think we're very excited when we... Not riffing, but when you write a new joke...
Yeah.
And it's structured, and you go up, and I'm excited, and it's like that combination of fear and excitement, because it's the only thing that really excites me is a new joke.
Yeah,
I'm not excited about old jokes. I don't care about performing anymore. It's just that new joke that really excites me. So once you do that, I think it's that it's going to bomb. I think somehow it brings the best out of you.
Yeah.
And then the second time, you kind of trust that,
right?
And you have less fear or excitement, and it just doesn't go well.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's like it's a weird formula. It just my second time just does, and third, it's make or break. You know, either I keep that joke or I just get rid of it.
Yeah,
yeah.
But for me to have a good joke, it's got to like kill 3 times in a row.
I'd like to see a list of jokes I gave up on in the open mic days before I started recording stuff, because I would just after 3 tries be like, "Fuck this joke."
Not doing it anymore.
Especially when I'm doing like 5 minutes a pop.
Yeah,
it's like this joke is just over. It's gone.
I don't know if I mentioned this before, but Chris Buck, a very funny Jacksonville comic, he records like the sets at Rain Dogs. It's an open mic, but it's really a show. We have a lot of regulars that come out. And he would record everyone who's like really into comedy, like really trying. He would record all their sets, whether they knew it or not.
Yeah.
And before I moved to New York, he's like, "Hey, do you want your Rain Dog sets?" And I was like, "You have those?" But to your point, there was stuff in there where I was like, "Why did I like? I know it bombed in the room, but there's only 10 people. Like, this is a good premise. This is a good bit."
And it's weird how we don't trust ourselves sometimes, because I really think we know what's funny.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we know, but sometimes we forget that we know. And sometimes when I try a new joke, sometimes I'll subconsciously, in my delivery, I'll ask the audience, "Is this funny?" As opposed to telling them
This is funny,
that this is funny.
Right, yeah.
And when I get caught in that trap of like, "You like me, you know, then you get lost.
That is the toughest part.
Yeah.
Is the whole I've got to appeal to a mass audience.
Right.
I did speaking of working, this wasn't working for free. This is a little bit of dough, not much. I went out to New Jersey to do this show, and I've never written a good bio about myself, but this dude Joe Larson wrote a bio I think I'll use from now on. It said Matt Fulcheron. It said something about me being odd, and I never thought to even think about myself that way or describe myself that way. But that's obviously what I'm going for, just a little off center.
Right.
And I'm surprised I never presented myself that way or just embraced that, even though I've embraced it in my writing. Yeah, I've embraced it by my writing. I've embraced it. But then I try to go up there in Ohio or even New York and be like, yeah, I'm a fucking jock comic. Like I'm like a lunch pail guy. Yeah. Like I'm going after it. No, I'm a fucking weirdo.
Right.
And I need to embrace that. Yeah. I've been denying myself that for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, the working for free thing is it's weird because to your point earlier about how like, oh, you can't get fired, we don't have a boss, all that kind of stuff. That is true to a degree, but especially with like podcasting and like the one man show. We were talking to Costa about this, and I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but my editor sent me the rough cut of the show.
Yeah.
So I literally called my night job and was like, hey, can I have the night off to work on this? And they're like, yeah, absolutely, no problem. So I gave up hundreds of dollars to work on something I'm paying hundreds of dollars to do.
Yeah.
It's like totally backwards.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, instead of making a couple $100, I actually paid a guy $500 to edit this for me, and now I have to do more work on top of it. Can I please have my career now, please?
I was thinking of something that's so crazy that we do. Nowadays, the entertainment industry and definitely the stand-up comedy industry is based on us paying money.
I love this
to
topic.
create content for people who are at work getting paid.
Yeah.
Like we're entertaining them during their workday. And then our hope is that they will take some of that money and go see us when we're in town. You know, it's just so much investment now. And my friend Randy put it great. Years and years ago, it used to be you started a business, and if you had customers that really were loyal to you, you gave them a little something extra free.
Yeah.
Like when you get a card at a coffee shop and it's 10 stamps and then you get a free coffee.
Right.
Now it's you give them a bunch of shit for free and hope that they pay for a little something.
Yep.
Like when you come through town, like Patreon or a t-shirt or something like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. And the dam is busted wide open because no one is going to be like, yeah, we should all stop working as hard. It's just whoever works hardest wins in a way. Whoever just conquers that algorithm wins in a way. And it's just so wild how much I think about how different it was when I started out, and I did work a job and you'd fight it out at the comedy clubs, who was best, and then, or not best, but who was going to go on to do like this TV stuff or get cast in something, blah, blah, blah. And now it's just like everything all the time. And I've never been able to podcast, and one social media post a day is as far as I can really take myself in this vomit everything on the internet age of working.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, no, that's just something because, especially in LA, when you first started in comedy, that's something that always fascinates me, is because back then, if you wanted to shoot a special, that was a big, especially if you like turned to your friends and were like, hey, I'm going to do my own special. 20 years ago, they would have been like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That'd be like saying, hey, I'm going to fund my own movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And any film director would be like, no, get someone else to pay for it.
Yeah, never
That's what
use
it was
your
like.
own money.
And also, it was the type of
And
thing.
put it out for free.
That was this weirdest thing.
Yeah.
And put it out for free.
And now it blows my mind because, like, obviously in my circles, it's a lower level, so it's a lot of open micers and produce shows and bar shows and stuff. And those people, like, still kind of look at me with that, like, wow, that's really cool. Like, you did your own thing.
Yeah.
But when you talk to comics on, like, your guys' level and higher levels and stuff, they're just like, yeah, I paid $30,000 to shoot a special. Like, what? That's what we fucking do now. And it blows my mind because I was like, I remember, like, I talked to you
It's
about
like going to college.
That's what it is now.
insane.
It's like starting a business.
Yeah,
is what
and
it
I
is.
talk to you about this all the time because it's so fascinating to me. Was back in the day, it was have the 5 minutes to get the sitcom, to get the holding deal, and now it's totally flipped to where it's you, like you just said, you put out as much content as humanly possible. Hopefully, someone throws a punch at you when you're on stage. Hopefully, someone throws a beer at you. You pray to God someone tries to fight you when you're on stage.
I'm trying to get on Kimmel.
Yeah, because
somebody throw a fucking cocktail.
Yeah, because then you're just like, and it's no disrespect to.
No disrespect whatsoever.
Yeah, but it's just one of
Don't
those
hate
things.
the player, hate the game.
Exactly. There's so many times where I'll be recording and I'm like, someone please come up here and try to fight me.
Still relevant.
Like, to this day, it's still
Right.
Like, I want to headbutt someone and be like, yeah, look at this crazy comic.
Right. But also the old business model was weird too, because it was like you just did, you created a reputation within the industry, and then you got booked making peanuts at clubs. And so that was flawed too. And then you taped a special whenever the comedy gods decided it was time for you. You had to submit, and they had to say yes.
Yeah.
And then I signed a contract my biggest accomplishment was that half-hour special on Comedy Central, and I just signed a contract. They own all the rights.
Giving away your soul.
And I can't even really get that. I can't even really put that online right now because it's got to be some flawed version. Like I've got to tape it off of a VHS or a DVD, and it's all herky-jerky. And Comedy Central took it down because they decided...
Yeah, and they own the
whatever
rights.
they decided. Like I told you the other night, I don't like to try to figure out why people don't like me.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good game. But it's taken down. You know?
We like you.
I know. And I'm proud of that special. In fact... and it was humbling and rewarding all at the same time. There was this guy who, he was no kid. He was maybe 30 or something. He was on the show in Connecticut, and he goes, "Are you the guy?" He goes, "I used to watch Comedy Central all the time," and I thought, "There's no way he's going to quote one of my jokes." And he quoted one of my jokes, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." And that felt so good. But the humbling part was like, yeah, when I was a kid, I used to watch Comedy Central all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, you never get used to being old. But that's a whole different topic, you know?
Well, and it's weird too because you've seen not even the maturation, just the incredible change that the industry has taken. Was going from the gatekeepers and we decide when you're going to be famous, not you, to now this new thing where it's like, and you're good at it because you text me or you send me an email and you're like, "Hey man, we should cut up more than just one clip,
Right?
Because we need to post more."
That's weird. That like you're catching me at a good time in my career,
And I'm like,
because I'm like, we need to do more social media. And they'd be like, "What have they done with Matt? It's got to be a body snatcher."
But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I mean, that's what it is now. That's all it is. And there's some of the clips we post and they get a few thousand views on YouTube and I'm like, let's keep posting. And then some of them get no views and I'm like, so we have to delete this and I guess just try to repost. Like, what? What the hell?
Yeah,
And
catch it on a different day. That's funny because that could work.
That does. That's exactly what I do. That does work. And
that's funny.
But it's also frustrating because you're doing all this. Back to the main theme of what we're talking about. You're doing all this on the subway on my way into my job, so I can pay my rent.
Right.
And it's like I'm more freaked out about like all this stuff we're doing for free.
Yeah, I think it's good to play the numbers game, but I also think secretly you don't have to as much as you think you do.
Yeah.
I think you just need to play it a little bit, and you get lucky sometimes, whether you're all in or not.
Yeah.
And obviously it's smarter to buy more lottery tickets.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, the more you're...
But you could still win the lottery as long as you play the game.
Yeah.
So I think you need to check in with yourself and find out, is this really making me happy?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's not.
No.
When you're on that rectangle, chances are you're not. I can feel my blood pressure go up the second I start doing my code to unlock my phone.
Yeah.
I can just feel it go up. The emails,
messed up, right?
the social media, the this, the that. And I got to get a new record player or like a boombox or something, because the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is put on some Miles Davis. But I like to not look at my phone when I wake up in the morning. Give myself a morning.
You got to put your phone away from your bed.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the last thing,
airplane mode, hopefully.
But yeah, I put
Or
it
off.
I put it in a different room. I turn off the Wi-Fi every night because I don't want that Wi-Fi running at night while I'm sleeping, because that's no good. So
tell me about that. There's something wrong with that?
I was like, don't gloss over that. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, it's like you guys never heard of this? Like the whole
No, the router's in my room. I'm very concerned.
Well, it's not healthy. It's like with all these waves go into your body. There's like they even found that keeping your phone in your back pocket is causing more cancer and more. So even keeping your phone on your body is hazardous.
Yeah, but how am I going to know how far I walked if I don't do that?
So I don't put it in a bag. See, I have a backpack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm kidding. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I've got the ultimate measure right here.
Indicator,
The
yeah.
stomach.
So it's bad enough that we're surrounded by that all the time. So when I go to bed for at least 8 hours a day, if I'm at home, and especially for the kids, we don't want those waves to be. So we just turn off the Wi-Fi. But mind you, we have neighbors. They're not turning off the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Thankfully, our landlady doesn't have Wi-Fi. To just completely disconnect and put your phone away in a different room. and make sure that if you're going to go get it. And a big problem now is like most people are bringing their phones to the bathroom, and your bathroom time is
that's nature's break.
The
Yo.
TikTok time. That's
right,
the,
right. But we used to have books there, or Playboy magazine.
There- the- you know,
What are these books you speak of?
yeah, right.
So now people are just scrolling while they're sitting.
Yeah.
And people are taking 30-minute shits because they don't want to leave. You
Can
know?
I be honest with you? I have gone. I've
1 hour.
walked- I don't like to spend a lot of time, but I have walked to the bathroom before and been like, oh no, I left my phone in my room, and gone back to get it.
Sure.
Dude.
Yeah.
I've
Nature calls, but so does your uncle.
I've stayed sitting so long that I didn't need to wipe. Like it was just
Sure. Just dried
Right.
naturally.
and we're so addicted.
Yeah.
We're so addicted to the phones. But
And we're heroin dealers now. We're putting out content.
Yeah.
We're part of the problem.
yeah,
The loop of this madness.
I think I don't know, my thoughts on doing free shows is I don't consider comedy shows, even club shows, we don't get money. That's like paying your gas and
Sure.
some groceries.
Yeah.
yeah.
At most you'll make like $125, if you're doing a spot.
The best is getting paid in cash and stopping at the deli on the way home before the apartment. You feel like the king of England.
The best is
Let me
having
get
three-
chips
right.
and ice cream. Not hero, dude.
So-
yeah, onions. Yeah, pickles. That's 50
Yeah.
cents extra. I don't give a fuck,
Right.
man. I just did Gotham. I'm
Yeah,
rich.
especially when you do like three doing 3 shows in a row at Gotham.
Oh, dude.
That's fun. That
Yeah.
you get some money, but I just feel that's the celebration. Comedy clubs, you celebrate.
Yeah.
But the rooms, it's just a workout. It's just
Yeah.
you're working out.
Right.
If you want to stay sharp, you work out. You don't. So yeah, it sucks that it's free, but at the same time, where else am I? I don't want to work out these new jokes in comedy clubs. I want to try them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In rooms where if I do bomb, fine.
Yeah.
That's
Because you're going to bomb anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's also fascinating too to see some of the guys and girls that are in between. So they're past at clubs and they're past at some bigger clubs, but they understand that if they try something new and it bombs, they're no longer past at those clubs. Like they're
Right.
teetering right on that brink.
Yeah.
So it is very interesting because a lot of times they'll come out to mics to try out stuff because they don't want to risk it at a club. And it's so just fascinating to me because sometimes I always equate it to like Neverland and Hook. Like you forget. When you're away from it for so long, you forget. So then they've been playing clubs, and then they'll come to these mics to try out, like, I got this new stuff, but if it bombs, like, they're going to cut my shows.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll come to mics and just eat a dick. And I'm like, yeah, remember? Remember now?
But
Right.
you'll see guys. He's like Gary Goldman, for example. He's known as a very prolific writer.
Yeah.
And it's because you see him at shows that aren't the Cellar.
Yeah.
You see him working it out. And you see him working it out at the Cellar. Like, he's in a different category.
Yeah, he's on that level where he could say whatever he wants.
But I think the answer is, I already knew the answer when I brought up the topic, and it's all included. If you're doing a spot at a theater, you have to do a bunch of work for free to get ready for that theater. When you're out of work, you have to go work to remind people that you're alive. And just for your own sake, go see people and do the job that you do. You can't just sit. It's just a known thing. If you're an artist, you're going to have to work for free.
yeah, if you want anything with lasting results,
Right.
you have to.
Yeah.
yeah. Look at Fiverr.
What's that?
Fiverr.
I don't know if
I love Fiverr.
So Fiverr, you could get countless services.
It's
for
freelance art
five
service.
for
Oh, okay, right.
$5 minimum.
okay.
minimum.
Yeah, it's a $5 minimum.
So you could get this incredible voice artist to do some voiceover on whatever, a track, a video, a commercial for $5. And extremely talented people, singers, web designers.
That's how I got the cover art for X Drinking Buddy.
Logo.
Nice.
Yeah, logo designers. And it's international. And I hired someone to do a voiceover on a track, and I'm like, man, this in New York would have cost $200.
Yeah.
If not more, because I needed a French voice, very specific to, enticing, meditative. So there's it's its own category, and on top of that, just to find someone in New York who can do that properly, then go through an agency, and it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. But I pay like $20 because you pay the rights as well, so it's an extra $15.
Yeah.
But people are working for nothing.
Oh yeah.
It's not just comics.
Well, and that's why we can do
working for nothing.
That's why we can do what we do. Like you just said, you're putting the stuff together, and you just go on Fiverr. For my one-man show, I went on Upwork, which is a similar thing to Fiverr, but it's a little more heavy. Like instead of like a $5 minimum, because it's like for like legit like grips and videographers and stuff like that. So it's a little heavier as far as the price point, but same thing. Like I reached out to a friend of a friend who's a videographer, and he's like, "Yeah, this project will probably cost between $5,000 and $10,000." I went on Upwork, posted the same exact thing, and I put budget $500, and I had 6 people reach out and be like, "Yeah, I'll shoot it, no problem, I'll shoot it."
Yeah.
But how good are they?
I mean, I really like, and the editor has obviously Joe Dorville, my editor, has a lot to do with it, but it was shot in 4K. So and the sound was plugged in. So like, what more can you really ask for? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was shot the best way it could be shot. The sound is plugged in. The Zoom was plugged into the mic, so the sound's perfect. So boom, out the door.
I'm just realizing now I'm going to be a podcast engineer.
Yeah,
for $5 an hour.
There you go.
Should put it out there.
Right.
Bring this fucking herky jerky mixed matched fucking set out to somebody's apartment.
I thought
have
about
them come
that
here
because I have the all the stuff, all my equipment that I bought during the pandemic for the show can all fit in my backpack.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, if I wanted to be a producer, I could just haul this shit out to somebody's house.
Wouldn't that be wild, sitting in on somebody else's podcast? Like, especially a novice.
Yeah, that would
be wild, dude.
Some people do that.
I know they do it.
I know.
A lot of people do that. I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but I'm guessing since I thought of it, that other people have thought of it.
Yeah.
Well, it's also weird too. Like when we record here, it's more comfortable, and we've talked about this. But I prefer the studio just because of the setup. But at Gotham, at the old studio, there used to be glass, and the producer was behind the glass. You know, like an old school recording studio. And it was uncomfortable because I have people come in and we talk about on my other like some pretty intense stuff,
Right.
And or the most embarrassing thing is if I wanted to do a solo like bonus show, and the producer's just sitting in there,
right?
And I'm like, I can't look, like I'm like looking down. I was like, I can't look at you and be like, So anyway,
you're feeling the judgment, and part of you as a needy comic wants to get a laugh,
yep,
or you want to be like, oh, you're our favorite podcast, even though. We don't need to have one. You know, you're still our favorite.
Yeah, so
you want that feeling.
It's weird that people do that. Just not even like, it's one thing if you're a sound engineer and you work in a studio, but then there are people who are just like, no, I've got the equipment. I'll be your producer. It's like, you're not plugged into this world. You have nothing to do with it. Like, why? You just want to listen to us?
I think people would look at this setup and go, I want my $5 back.
I don't want to be here.
I mean, someone's like story at a party. Yeah, don't hire off Fiverr, man. This guy,
he didn't have a table. No, like a big table. Like I can't do coffee. I need a big table.
He didn't have one mic that matched.
That's what I love about that's what I love about Stallone. It's
let's get into it.
Let's get into it. It's like it always goes back to that. I was just watching like Rocky 3 again for like I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, hold on a second. Is that your favorite one?
No.
Okay.
No, but they're all. I like
Creed 2. That's my favorite.
No Stallone, stay home.
Yeah, right. No Sylvester.
So
better luck next time, Chester. I don't know.
So
you got me on the spot.
It was. I don't know. I've seen it a million times and just to think that he, by the third Rocky, I'm not sure about the second one, but he's not only did he write it, but he's also directing it.
Yeah.
And he everyone knows this story. He was offered like $1 million to have someone else play Rocky, and then he turned it down. And
for the first movie. Yeah.
And just like sticking to your guns and just really believing that you can do this.
The behind the story,
regardless of
the behind the scenes story, is as good as the story.
It's a classic story of the underdog.
Same story.
And it's. I love that way, and in every Rocky, he's a failure.
Yeah.
In every Rocky, he's a failure.
Can we talk about how in the fourth Rocky though he's all of a sudden smart? Like, how did that happen?
How is he? No, you mean
Well,
Balboa?
no, I
'Cause in
mean-
Balboa he loses the Rocky accent. Like he's more.
That's what I'm saying. Like by Rocky IV, he's more of like a upper class guy.
What was the Russian?
I think
one?
it's by by Balboa.
Okay.
By Balboa. The Russian one's Rocky IV.
Okay, so
yeah.
in the 5 Balboa is 5.
No, Balboa is 6.
Okay, all right.
Balboa is 17.
Balboa is 6.
I know the Russian one because that came out like when I
Yeah.
was like old enough to be like, oh, what's this movie everyone's making all this?
It's
hype
not the
Right.
best one, and for some reason,
I love
it's
it.
more quoted
It's the
than
most
any other
quoted one.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it because
If he dies, he dies.
yeah, it's great because
But-
it's also very political, and it's basically the Cold War.
Yeah. I don't want to get you off
yeah.
topic, though. We're
No.
onto something good here.
No. I'm just saying it's like regardless of the time, it was a different time back then to write a script and
Oh,
to
yeah.
just want to stick to I think he did porn before. He
did, like, Saw.
Italian
he did Saw.
Stallion,
Yeah,
yeah.
he did.
He's
like,
also in a
soft-
movie called Death Race 2000,
Right.
which I
Yeah.
highly recommend to anybody out
But-
there. It's that is
The original,
that-
not the remake, because they came out with the remake Death Race
right.
with Jason Statham.
Forget that. I'm talking about something that
Yeah.
came out in the 70s.
Yeah.
And it's I love any movie where it's supposed to be the future,
Yeah.
but now it's in the past.
Right.
Like 2000.
Right,
Is-
Right.
In a world.
It's like
And-
Mad Max.
And all the background is like clearly a painting.
Yeah.
Clearly. New
Right.
York City has got like roller coasters in it and stuff.
Right.
Which Vegas actually has now.
Yeah.
A New
Yeah.
York City with roller coasters in it. So
New York,
maybe that's
New
a
York,
nod. But anyway, dude
Yeah.
made it himself. And
He made-
and they offered him, he took a huge risk when they were like, do this with another guy playing Rocky. And he was like, no, I'm doing it. This is my movie.
How much?
What?
Because this is something I think about all the time. I always think, and we've talked about this before in regards to just different things in culture, as far as even on broader topics or more, more important topics like race and religion and things like that. But I always think I would never sell the full rights to my show and now our show. Now we're
Yeah.
doing this show together, but my ex-drinking buddy is like my baby. I was like,
Yeah.
I would never sell that show. You saw what happened to some of these people. They sell the rights and then they just fire you as a host. And you're like,
Yeah.
but this is my show. And they go, no, you sold it to us. How much? Because in my head, I think there's no amount of money anyone could give me to buy my show. The streaming rights are one thing. That's like what Rogan did.
Yeah.
So he still owns the show, but he sold the streaming rights. Is there a number, and you don't have to say it if you don't want to, but is there a number in either of your guys' heads where if someone came to you and said, hey, we want this for X amount of dollars,
Yeah.
you'd be like, yeah, absolutely?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely at this point in my life,
You didn't even hesitate.
I definitely would do it. I mean, it would have to be enough.
yeah.
It would have to be the number I'm thinking of.
okay, all right.
It would have to be ridiculous. It would have to be enough money so that it's more than I thought I could ever make.
With the
Yeah.
okay.
And if you notice, I think Daniel, you probably know more about this than I do. Musical artists are coming around and they're selling their rights they've had for decades. They're selling them because we're in a world where you can't sell a CD or a record anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just going to get streamed away. And you might as well, it's like putting stuff out is basically just advertising for your live show now. You might as well get paid for your catalog, a lot of people are thinking. And then it continues to advertise your live shows, but now you're getting that money you would have gotten from record sales.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think about that all the time. I always think just like because entertainment is so fickle. Like literally you could be one day like, God, I don't know how I'm going to make rent. And then the next day someone sees you and you're like, oh, I'm going on tour for 6 months with so-and-so. And it's always in the back of my head where like, oh, I wonder if the right person, or not even the right person, just a certain person heard the podcast and they go, man, I really like what, the idea of this like sobriety, but reminiscing about it, like maybe like, oh, this would be really good at like rehabs or whatever. I don't fucking know. But I'm just saying if someone came to me and was like, here's a number.
Yeah.
I'm always thinking in my head, like, I don't think I would give it up.
Right.
But there's got to be a number where if they came to me and were like, here's $10 million, I'd probably be like, yeah, you can have it. I don't.
If they came with that number, you would think about it at least.
Because all this, like, back to the original point, all this stuff we've been doing for free, all the stuff that we've done for free for so long, it's almost like, all right, here's my payday. Like, here it comes.
Yeah. It's one of those things you watch. What was it where I think it was Magic Johnson turned down Nike.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And still, Magic Johnson did incredible.
Yeah.
But he's got to think to himself, what about that Nike money?
There was so in that show that HBO did,
Yeah.
it showed the number. If he would have gone with Nike because they were originally giving him stock,
Yeah.
he'd be worth like $10.2 billion.
Right, right. That's a lot of Magic Johnson movie theaters.
Yeah.
Wow. I still want to talk about Rocky.
Let's
Yeah, I'm
talk.
sorry.
No, I'm
Let's
kidding.
talk about
I'm
Rocky.
just joking.
You brought up the $1 million
no.
thing, and that's what sent
No,
me on
I'm
the-
just-
I'm dying to
just
talk
joking.
about Rocky.
I'm just joking.
I love Rocky, and I read Quentin Tarantino's book. It's a film criticism book, and he brought something that I didn't know about Rocky, which was when Rocky came out, and he, spoiler alert, he punches Apollo Creed, and Apollo Creed goes down in the first or second round or whatever. He gets back up, but he gets down. The whole audience cheered. And because it came out at a time when, in the 70s, where movies were just bummers.
Yeah.
Like the protagonist never won. And I think Rocky's that perfect movie of you can be cynical and still love it because he doesn't win the
Yeah, I was gonna
boxing
say,
match.
in the end, he doesn't win.
But
Well,
he still wins personally.
The movie.
He doesn't look like a fool. He looks like a contender.
The movie it's not about boxing, man.
Right.
That movie.
There's hardly any boxing in it.
Is a love story. That every Rocky is, Adrian is just as much as a main character as like Rocky. The first poster, it's him and her holding hands. Walking.
Yeah.
It's a love story, Rocky.
Yeah.
Rocky 2, love story. She almost dies. Rocky 3, everything he believes was real was not. It's like that scene when she's up the stairs and she is his fire.
Yeah.
She is everything. She's his mind, his courage, she balances him.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable how without her, it's like Rocky 4, he's working out, but he doesn't really start working out in the up in the mountains until she shows up.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when it's
Yeah.
like that's when he wins. It's
Yeah.
the best part of the workout. It's when
Yeah.
her face is there.
Right.
And then Balboa, when she died, it's like he still goes to visit her. It's everything is for Adrian.
Yeah. And if you watch that first movie, there really is hardly any boxing in it.
No,
and
there
it's
isn't.
like it's almost like, and I know this is what it is. It's an indie movie. Before indie movies were common, it's a love story like that. You see them all the time now.
Yeah.
The quirky love story.
Right, yeah.
Right.
That's what it is. She's fucking weird. He's
Right.
a fucking dummy.
Right.
And somehow they find each other, and they're two outsiders that connect.
Right. Right.
And it's gonna be tough to watch if you're a Gen Zer.
Yeah.
The way they talk to Adrian half the movie, like her brother. Her brother is so awful to Adrian.
Or Mr. T, what he says to her.
Mr. T's awful too.
Yeah.
But her brother. It's but it's so. It's just every time. And just to come back to like what we're talking about, regardless of the 70s, 80s, or 90s, or now how weird this job is because it's no longer what we signed up for. This is not. My love for stand-up comedy has morphed into it's not even stand-up comedy. Mainly, if you want to truly be successful today,
Yeah.
it's like that's like just a part of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it used to be the whole thing.
Used to be the whole thing.
And it makes me far less excited. But the concept of just believing in yourself beyond all that noise and just that's what the story is about. Just to truly, regardless of the odds, to just trust that everything, That's why I hate the word hope. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
it's like
it's-
hope. I feel like hope is you're walking on eggshells.
It's
you
more
know?
like faith.
It's trust. Yeah, faith
Yeah.
is
Yes.
trust. There's a knowing.
Yeah.
There's a knowing without seeing it.
And let me tell you, I experienced it this week, that similar sensation of when you're first starting and you're going to do these faraway places for no money, just for the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And they were great experience. I loved hanging with the comics I was hanging with. I loved every single show I did this week. I loved all the effort I put into it.
Yeah.
I love sitting on the train and watching all the shit go by instead of sitting in this apartment and working on my computer. It was a great experience. And I loved the fucking small amount of cash that was handed to me. I was at the deli. I lived that life. You know, it was a great week. And then I got really fucking tired. I used to go all out, dude. I used to drive in Los Angeles traffic, work an 8-hour day, and then do 2 or 3 shows at night and drink too.
Right.
And wake up and do it 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And it was just exhausting, but I never let it get me tired. Now I understand taking care of yourself, and I'm like, you're tired, buddy. You're gonna have to stay home this Thursday. You're gonna have to watch Mad Men. You're gonna have to catch up on this shit. I'm finally catching up to Mad Men.
And I never got, you know, comics who have egos, because how do you forget this journey? How do you forget how
It's humbling.
That's
Like,
why I
how
love
do
it
you
when they come to open
forget-
mics, because I'm like, yeah, suck
how do you
it.
forget how hard it is, and how constantly it's and then what, from one day to the next, because you got lucky, or you know,
The
partially
algorithm
lucky,
caught, yeah.
partially I do believe in creating your own luck, but I also do believe that you have to be the right place, right time, and everything's got to be aligned. But how do you forget like that journey?
They shouldn't, because everybody has bad nights,
Right.
even the biggest guys. And having a bad night at a stadium is a bad fucking night.
Yeah. God, I couldn't imagine. 10,000 people just quiet, and you're like, yeah.
You see everybody's faces lit up from their phone. You know, that's got to be a thing, because you do see tons of video on the internet. That means people aren't even like really, they're taping their own documentaries.
Right.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
And when you go see a music show, it used to be lighters. Now it's just fucking iPhone.
Right.
It's weird.
Right.
Like everybody is not, they're right there, but they're watching it on a screen. That's a wild experience.
It blows my mind. I go to the Met a lot. Just that's where I think and write. So I'll
Yeah.
walk around and I'll just think, and then I write, and I'll sit and I write, and that's just because you see so many different kinds of people and stuff.
Yeah.
I am mesmerized by how many people have their phone. I'm like, you're looking at you're in one of the best museums in the world,
In history.
in the history of the world.
If it's the real paintings,
But
who knows? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Nowadays, I don't even know what I'm looking at.
One of them is.
Right.
one of them's gotta be. But it's just so weird because people are on their phones just like recording it. And I'm just like, you're not going to like just put your phone away and look and read the little plaque and then just admire it. Like they're just walking through, record, another room, record.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're not even, you might as well just fucking gone on YouTube. Like, what are we doing?
You know what's my favorite experience of being in a museum and standing in front of a painting? And this is what really like moves me the most, is you're standing exactly where they stood when they painted it.
That's nuts. I love that
And
stuff,
when I
man.
think about that, I'm like, I'm blown away.
Yeah.
That proximity of, wow, I stood here, like I stood in front of this just like the artist did.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very enriching to, you know, art feeds art. Listening to the right music, listening to watching the right movies or pictures or paintings or museums, and all that feeds into, nothing feeds my comedy less than comedy.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
yeah. I
like-
finally watched some comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch comedy anymore. I finally watched
Yeah, me
Chris
neither.
Rock.
I was going to
Chris
ask
Rock
you, it was the
special.
Chris Rock.
Yeah.
And I was laughing my ass off, and then other people tell me it wasn't good. I was like, well, I don't watch comedy that much, so it was pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, it's pretty good to me. I kind of liked it.
Right.
Yeah. But then you run into comics, and they're like, this was wrong with it, that was wrong with it. I was like, I was laughing.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
the point.
it did its job.
Yeah.
And it was live.
Yeah, they taped it live. First ever live streaming special from Netflix.
I don't know, man.
Well, that's the thing is, the reason I like going to the museum is because...
I want to get back to that, but you go ahead.
Well, no, I just...
I want to know what that was about. Was that about the live? Was that about it being live?
Yeah, was that about Chris Rock?
Is that about dropping microphones when there's poor people in the world?
That mic is expensive.
No, I was just going to say, like, whether it's stand-up or paintings or sculpture or just anything, like, the reason why I get so enthralled with this is because I heard this line a long time ago, and it's something that's always resonated with me, is that great art has such a broad meaning. You know, it captures the time, the place, the emotion of what's happening. So, like, to go back and watch Lenny Bruce, and then to go back and watch Richard Pryor,
Yeah.
and then to go back and watch George Carlin. Like, it's all these little snapshots of exactly
Yeah.
what was happening.
Right.
And that's why I love going to the Met, because like you walk around the American wing and you can see like paintings from pre-revolution all the way up through the Civil War up to like modern times. And it's like, it blows my mind, because it's like, oh, these are like same state, same environment, same country, but it's like so many different variations. And that's just why I like it so much. But let's talk about why you were disappointed with Chris Rock. Let's talk about that more.
Oh no, that sigh had nothing to do with Chris Rock. It had everything to do with
Just trying to set it up for clicks.
with this work. You know, this work that we do.
Yeah.
I promised myself when I was a kid I never want to work, and obviously comedy is a lot of work, but I just wanted to do what makes me happy.
Yeah.
That was my goal. I just want to do something that really makes me happy. And now, less and less, this job is making me happy. It's like you end up doing things that
Right.
bring you tremendous unhappiness.
Yes.
For a small percentage of happiness that you initially signed up for. So my philosophy, or my way of how I wish to live this very, very, very short life and
Yes.
time that we're here, is to maximize doing things and being surrounded by people that I love, that make me happy, doing things that I love that make me happy, things that bring me, that uplift me. What the sigh was about is like, man, it's transformed into something that brings me less happiness
Yes.
Yeah.
than it used to. And that's why I love music, because music, you could play alone. And you're so happy if you play alone. You can play with friends, and you're so happy if you play.
Yeah.
You can play in front of an audience, and you're so happy.
Yeah.
And you can just be alone and or listen to music and
Yeah.
be happy. But comedy, you know, you need an audience. You need a crowd.
Yeah.
I get moments of joy, if you want.
Yeah, they're right there, yeah.
When I write a joke that I believe to be funny,
Yeah.
but then I don't know until I test it. I don't know
right.
until I try the second time, where
Now-
it usually bombs. You
Now
know?
somebody's mad at
Right,
you.
right,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
right. And
How could you?
and
How could you say that?
yeah, and it's like I did a show at a comedy club last weekend, and all the shows went well. But I tried this new. It's a newer joke. It's not a new joke, and it killed on the first show. Second show, I decided to close with it on the third one, and it didn't go well.
Sure.
And it's a Saturday night, and my closing bit was kind of alienated people, and it just killed.
Yeah, yeah.
Just watched it work.
You almost want to show the footage. Like, here's what you guys did wrong, because
Go back
watch
to the
from
tape.
last week.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's and moments, and that's what I love about comedy. It's like how you never know.
Right.
You never know. But I just think it's so important, whatever you do, to be happy. And even if it's a job that you're stuck doing and you don't like doing, I think that the job or the challenge is to find the happiness in, you know, like we said, like find the happiness in doing the dishes, find the happiness
Yeah.
in vacuuming, find the happiness in folding, find the happiness in things that we don't enjoy doing. And that's because that ultimately is what we want. We just want to be happy. So how do we make something that we find uncomfortable or makes us anxious? So how do we reverse that into something that brings peace?
My wife and I recently came up with it's not a new philosophy, but for us, we came up with it. And we were having lunch at this place called Westville in Williamsburg. And we just talked about how we're sick of being stressed out about stuff.
Yeah.
And we're just going to enjoy our lives the best we can and make that a priority. And we call it the Westville philosophy. And that's how we talk in short term. Like Westville, baby.
Yeah.
Westville.
Yeah.
You
Right,
know,
right, right,
let's
right.
this, you don't get it back, and you have to take it seriously, and you have to do the work. But that doesn't mean, you know, at a certain point, at least at a certain point in the day, you have to appreciate what you have and enjoy what you have and decide to have a good time at a certain point. The odds are against you, but fuck it.
Yeah.
This is the time, because there's this idea that at some point I will have done enough work so that I can be happy It's this retirement mentality.
Yeah.
I'll make
But
it.
it's so sad
And I know people who are very successful,
Right.
and they're not done yet either.
Right.
They still have so much shit to do, and I see them getting upset about things you would never think they would get upset about.
Yeah.
Regular day-to-day stuff that you're never exempt from work or the misery.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, you got to find a way to enjoy it.
I just had this conversation last night with my grandmother. Because she was like, "You can't quit. Like, don't ever quit." Like,
Yeah.
she's hyped that I'm in New York,
Right.
And that I'm especially with everything that I had been through to get here.
Yeah.
And she's so stoked about it. But I said that exact thing. I said, "Yes, Bubba, on the grand scheme of things, like I did the one-man show, like I've got the podcast, I'm in New York, I'm doing comedy. You're absolutely right. Like, I'm incredibly grateful for all that."
Yeah.
And there are times where I show up to work and it's slow as shit, and I'm like, "The fuck are we doing, man?" Like,
Yeah.
shit. So, yes, in the grand scheme of things, I am
Yeah.
incredibly grateful. But like you said, there are day-to-day things where you're like, fucking hate this.
Right. Well, I think also social
But
media.
that's because we forget. That's because we forget to be grateful.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is,
All
yeah.
it is just. And I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
I have
go
to say
ahead.
No,
something.
yeah.
Go ahead.
But all it is just, there's this. I don't know if we ever spoke about this, but there's a great book called Conversations with God. Did we ever talk about that?
No.
So in it, it's about this dude who literally has a conversation with God, and he writes a book about it. And there's like 3 volumes. And he says something that, first time I read it, it just really stayed with me. He says to remember God, to remember is to re-member.
Mm-hmm.
To because there's a seed of godliness in all of us,
Mm-hmm.
and to just reconnect, to remember to the source.
Yeah.
And all it is to just remembering God is to remember God, but it's initially just to be aware of how great I was driving today. It's so funny we talk about this because I was driving today back from dropping my son off and driving back home, and I was just for 1 second I thought, holy shit, I see the road. I see what's in front of me, and I couldn't imagine a world without seeing. And then that brought me to, oh my God, I couldn't imagine a world without hearing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or imagine a world without speaking. Sure, we always think, I can walk, but these little things of just like seeing.
Yeah,
and I'm
lose your-
driving, and I'm like, holy! I had that moment of like, man,
Lose your voice
Amazing.
sometime.
Yeah.
Go 2 days without speaking.
Right.
To
Burn your
anybody.
tongue.
You just see.
Yeah.
I've lost my voice before, and you just take for granted
Yep.
how. Or go to a foreign country where you don't speak the language. This isn't for you. It's more for Brandon. And you'll see just how good you got it.
Right.
Just these little gifts that you take for granted.
everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
If we could just connect to that constantly and feel like, be aware and feel like every day is your birthday.
Yeah.
Birthdays are
Every
the best.
day's your birthday,
Yeah.
baby.
Birthdays are the best, man. Think about it. People call you. They
Yeah.
think about you. You have cake.
That's why I try to call. I try to family and stuff.
You disconnect.
I try to call once a week because it's that same thing. Like, what? Why are you calling? Just wanted to say hi.
Yeah.
It's also good to walk into a bar and go, "It's my birthday!"
Free drinks.
Talk about it on stage.
Right.
As a server, they give you more tip money if you tell them it's your birthday.
True, and the audience will laugh. But you can't. If you get caught, you're in big fucking trouble. And I think that's a good place for us to end. Don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
Enjoy
Every day's your
it
birthday.
where you can get it. Happy birthday, motherfucker. You earned it. Thanks for listening to The Power of How. Music by Daniel Torado. Artwork by Nelson Diaz. Follow us on all the social medias at The Power of How Podcast. Rate, review, and subscribe. And check us out at patreon.com/The Power of How Podcast. Send us some positive vibes in the form of U.S. currency. See you next week, everybody.